The Bon was known for its catchy jingles such as the following to the tune of Banana Boat song, Day-O, one day sale, one day only at the Bon Marche. Save 20, 30, 40% example savings. Saturday only at the Bon Marche. Prices are down in every department. Saturday only at the Bon Marche. This jingle continued after the name was changed to Bon Macy's. With the appropriate changes in the 1960s, the Bon also used some cuts from Pam's Series 23 jingle packages Anti-Magic in the 1960s. Allied Stores was merged into Federated Department Stores in 1989. As part of its national rebranding program, Federated changed its name into Bon Macy's in 2003. Bon Macy's, I don't like that. Bon Marche and Macy's, they are their own stores. They sound cool. Macy's sounds cool. Bon Marche sounds really cool. It says here on March 6, 2005, the Bon Macy's name was eliminated, with the stores renamed as the Macy's Northwest Division of Federated. On February 6, 2008, Macy's Northwest Division was merged with the Macy's West Division based in San Francisco. Origins and establishment. The Bon Marche was founded in 1980 by Edward and Joseph Nordhoff, who had moved to Seattle from Chicago. Edward Nordhoff was a German immigrant who had worked for the Louvre, or the Louvre, I could call it Louvre department store in Paris, which competed with the Masons of Aristide Boucacac à Bon Marche, now part of the LVMH group. Nordhoff moved to Chicago in 1881 and managed a department store in Chicago where he met his wife, Josephine, who was a clerk 13 years his junior. The Nordhoffs leased a small storefront in modern-day Belltown at First Avenue and Cedar Street that cost $25 per month. Back then, that was probably a lot of money. By today's standards, it's really cheap. They invested their entire savings account into merchandise for the store and worked to attract customers away from the city's main retail district. Josephine Nordhoff stocked shelves, kept the books, and cleaned the store. She later learned the Chinook language to wait on Native American customers. Very forward-thinking, because the Native Americans were the ones that helped Seattle become Seattle. Chief Seattle, or Chief Sealith, helped usher in a new wave of settlers into the Seattle area. To keep customers during, she later learned the Chinook language to wait on Native American customers. To keep customers during the economic panic of the early 1890s. The Nordhoffs stocked stacks of pennies to provide small discounts. The growing success of the store allowed the Nordhoffs to relocate closer to the business district in 1896, leasing an L-shaped building at 2nd Avenue and Pike Street, which is basically where it stayed. In 1899, at the age of 40, Edward died of an illness his doctor called PHTHISIS, probably tuberculosis, phthisis pulmonolysis. Josephine remarried 2 years later. Her new husband, Frank McDermott, joined her and Rudolph Nordhoff. That's a funny name, Rudolph Nordhoff, Edward's brother, in operating the Bon Marche. The store entered a period of rapid growth under the management of this trio. Sales increased from $338,000 in 1900 to $8 million in just 1923. The store was enlarged twice at its second and Pike location in 1902 and in 1911. In 1929, the Bon Marche opened at its current downtown location at 3rd and Pine. That year, the store was sold to Hahn Stores of Chicago, which was acquired by Allied Stores 5 years later. Both corporations continued to operate the stores under its original name in 1937. This is a long history here, but I'll try to get closed up on this video as soon as I can. The Bon Marche opened its first store outside of Washington through a merger with Boise, Idaho-based C.C. Anderson's into the Bon Marche by Allied Stores. The downtown Boise store remained in operation for more than 70 years until early 2010, albeit as a Macy's for its final few years. The Bon began operating additional stores after World War II, and in 1949 it divided the anchor store for one of the world's first modern shopping centers at Northgate Mall. By 1989, when Campu Corporation acquired Allied Stores, the Bon Marche was one of the best-known retailers in the Northwest, with about 40 stores throughout the region. And in 1978, the company acquired 9 stores, including Missoula Mercantile of Missoula, Montana. Whoa. The Missoula store closed as Macy's in 2010. The Bon also opened and operated 3 stores in Utah, the largest one in Ogden at the Ogden City Mall. After yet another change in corporate ownership in 1990, the Bon ended up in the hands of Federated Department Stores, a Cincinnati-based company which also owns the Macy's and Bloomingdale's. In 2001, you have to pardon me, I got an itch. In 2001, the Bon Marche debuted a prototype store in Helena, Montana. The 65,000 square feet, 6,000 meter store featured everything a typical Bon Marche had, plus centralized checkouts. Name changes, aha! Bon Macy's in August 2003, Federated rebranded the Bon Marche, turning it into Bon Macy's. Federated also tacked Macy's onto the names of 4 other regional chains under its umbrella. Burdines in Florida, Lazarus in the Midwest, Goldsmiths in Tennessee, and Riches in the Southeast. Customers had about a year to get used to that change when, in September 2004, Federated announced that all of its regional chains would be renamed to Macy's. As of 2004, Bon Macy's consisted of 50 stores in Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming. New store signs reading simply Macy's were in place by January 2005. The former flagship store in downtown Seattle remains one small original example of the Bon Marche signage. This can be seen above the north entrance of the store at the corner of 4th Avenue and Olive Way. On February 6, 2008, Terry Lundgren announced the localization strategy and the company's plan to shed 2,550 jobs. This included laying off the Macy's Northwest headquarters and merging all of the former Bon Marche stores under the Macy's West Division. Macy's sold upper 6 levels of the flagship store in 2015 to Starwood Capital. That portion of the building was remodeled into a 475,000 square foot office complex for Amazon.com. Macy's remained on the lower 2 floors in the basement. On February 23, 2020, Macy's closed the store and the building was sold to Starwood. And I am going to stop on that. This video is about 20 minutes long. if you're hearing this, I've probably broken this video up into two, part one, part two, 10-minute videos. So, if you know anything about the Macy store or the history of the Macy store, or you shopped at the Macy store, please put it in the comments below and let me know about it. Macy's is very famous because the Macy's that was in New York, that was used in A Miracle on 34th Street, which the Fraser Crane TV show cleverly turned into A Miracle on 3rd or 4th Street. You have to bear with me. I get overwhelmed a little bit when I talk about certain things dealing with Seattle. But Fraser Crane did a Christmas special. It was called A Miracle on 3rd or 4th instead of A Miracle on 34th. So, put a comment below if you know anything about the video I just talked about, any of the subjects about Macy's or any of the other stores. Please, if you like my video, please give it a big thumbs up. If you have an idea for another video, put it in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. If you want to subscribe, hit the subscribe button right down here. I'm going to let you go on that note. This has been a pleasure letting you in on a little info about some of Seattle's history. Have a good night, Seattle, America, and all points beyond.